Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're going to talk about how artificial intelligence is doing a whole lot more than just grabbing headlines. We're diving into how it's fundamentally rewiring the entire engine of marketing and advertising as we know it. You've probably heard this one before. For more than 100 years, this single quote has perfectly summed up the marketer's biggest nightmare. It's the ghost in the machine of every single campaign. That nagging feeling that you're just throwing money away, but you have no idea where or why. This has been the central, unsolved problem of advertising. Well, until now. Okay, so this has always been the big question, right? Which of the dozen ads a customer sees actually convince them to hit that buy button? How do we finally move away from just guessing and get to a place of precision? For the longest time, trying to connect a specific ad to a sale was incredibly difficult, almost impossible. Marketers had to rely on their gut feelings and really broad correlations. Did sales go up after that big TV spot? Maybe. Was it the newspaper ad? Who knows? It was basically a whole lot of guesswork, leaving everyone wondering what was truly driving the results. And this is where AI comes into the picture. It acts like a much smarter lens, finally bringing the customer's journey into sharp focus by completely redefining something called attribution. So on the left, you've got the old way of doing things. Rigid, rule-based attribution. It's super simple. It might just give all the credit to the very first ad someone saw or the very last one they clicked, and it completely ignores everything that happened in between. But AI, over on the right, it sees the whole picture. It's dynamic, it learns, it analyzes every single touch point in that messy, complex journey to figure out what really had an impact. And it takes our own biases right out of the equation.
The official name for this is multi-touch attribution, or MTA for short. And the idea here, it's actually pretty simple, but it's also a huge deal. It's all about understanding the entire sequence of events that leads to a sale and then giving each step the credit it actually deserves.
So what does this actually look like in the real world? Well, it means AI can see that, hey, a TV ad kicked things off, a social media post kept the person interested, and then a week later, an email finally sealed the deal. It can process massive amounts of data in real time, so marketers can shift their budgets to what's working, like right now. Oh, and it automates all that tedious reporting, which frees up actual humans to think about the big picture strategy. But AI isn't just sitting in the background analyzing stuff anymore. It's also becoming part of the journey itself. It's stepping right into the spotlight with something called conversational commerce, which creates totally new touchpoints and changes how we interact with brands. And yeah, it makes the job of attribution even more complicated. Now, what's really fascinating here is the journey we've been on. Look, this didn't just happen overnight. Way back in 1966, there was a program called ELIZA that could kind of mimic a conversation just by recognizing keywords. Fast forward through decades of development, and here we are in the 2020s, where these powerful large language models have made chatbots truly conversational, capable of really complex, nuanced chats. And all of that has led to this thing we now call conversational commerce. It's this simple idea that you can ask a question, get a personalized recommendation, track an order, or even buy something, all inside a simple chat window, just like you were talking to a real person. Okay, so with all this incredible potential, you'd think every single business out there is running on some super sophisticated AI, right? Well, the reality on the ground is a little different. It turns out there's a pretty major gap between all the hype and what's actually happening. So get this. A recent global study from TCS asked retailers, what's your number one AI initiative? The top answer, from a majority at 51%, was basic chatbots and virtual assistants. We're talking about the low-hanging fruit of AI here. And this chart really tells the story. When they were asked about using more advanced AI systems, the kind that can handle complex tasks across the whole business, not just answer a simple question, a whopping 85% of retailers said, nope, not using them, not even planning to. So the conclusion is pretty obvious. Despite all the buzz about an AI revolution, it seems like a lot of businesses are still just dipping their toes in the water. They're using AI for simple, one-off tasks instead of really weaving it into the core of how they operate. But here's the catch. Even if a company is using the most advanced, cutting-edge AI attribution model out there, there's a fundamental trap. And it brings us right back to that classic statistics mantra you've probably heard a million times. Correlation is not causation. So what does that really mean? It means these AI models are incredible at finding patterns. They're amazing at connecting the dots and seeing a correlation between someone seeing an ad and then later buying something. But that correlation can't definitively prove that the ad caused the purchase. Think about it like this. An AI might notice that people who see an ad for a new running shoe tend to buy it. Great. But what if that ad was mostly being shown to people who were already searching for running shoes online? The AI might give the ad all the credit for a sale that was probably going to happen anyway. That's a classic case of selection bias. And this brings us to the million-dollar question for any marketer, right? How do you actually isolate the ad's effect? How do you measure the true causal impact of your spending? How can you prove that your ads created new sales that wouldn't have existed otherwise? The answer is a method that sounds like it came straight out of a science lab. It's called incrementality testing, and it's basically a controlled experiment. You split your audience into one group, the test group, sees your ads, but the other group, the control group, sees absolutely nothing. At the end, you just compare the results. Any difference in sales between those two groups, that lift, that is the true causal impact of your advertising. It is the absolute gold standard for proving value. So let's bring it all home. What's the big takeaway here? AI has given us these incredible tools to find patterns, to finally see that complex, messy web of a customer journey instead of just a simple straight line. But as this slide asks, finding patterns isn't the same as finding truth. The real insight here isn't to choose between AI attribution and scientific testing. It's to use them together. Use AI to understand all the correlations and to optimize your campaigns in real time, but use incrementality testing to prove the causal value of what you're doing. That's how you finally solve that century-old problem, not just by knowing which half of your advertising works, but by actually proving it.